Okay, so firstly, good morning to everybody, and as we have said, we are doing this today. Our learning will be in the merit, in the zechus of my lovely dear friend Karen, and some of her lovely friends here, Rivka, Chanonch, who are with us here today. We Really, I just want to also just begin by saying thank you to those of you who have already put in a donation in the zechus of Rivka Bas Chanonch. I just want to find something quickly. I'm sorry, I should have had it done before, but I was struggling with my computer. Let me just see. I have two things that I just wanted to quickly share with you. So please, Sharon, where is it? Okay. So I know that, where is Sharon? Can I see her? Okay, I know that there's Sharon. So for those of you who did not know who Karen was, if you ever went to the JLE, you'd see a picture of her afterwards and say, oh my gosh, yes, that's Karen. Of course I know Karen. And Karen was this beautiful, young woman who was always so helpful, and certainly she helped me. I have even some of her typings, the things that she typed and did for me, and we used to laugh because she used to type out things, and then wherever she couldn't read my handwriting, which unfortunately are quite a few words, we used to have a whole bunch of these question marks. But Karen herself really was totally dedicated to her parents, and she was an incredibly only child. She lived with her parents. She became Shomer Shabbos by herself and remained Shomer Shabbos and growing in Torah and mitzvahs that was actually far beyond all of our what we would actually know and think of as Karen. And I actually have a Tehillim of Karen's, which I keep in my car and use very frequently. And it's got all her little notes that when you look at it and you think like, how did a person and how can a person live so close to Hashem, and really sometimes very, very, very much alone. She did everything that she needed to for Hashem, and she did a lot of this alone by herself while living in town. And anybody that knew her and knew her from the shul or wherever she was, really loved her. She never complained about anything. She accepted the challenges that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave her. She stayed very close to Hashem. Now, there was something that I learned about Karen only in her, really only within the year before she left this world, is that she actually wrote articles under a pseudonym of Yael Karni for Breslov. And she was very, very attached and very close to Hashem in her world. Even during her illness, the most important thing for her was that her mother would be near Jews in a Jewish environment. And we got her, and she got her into Sage. And Karen actually passed away. Her mother was turning 90 and lived for another year after that. It's quite incredible to think that, you know, for all of us here, I just feel that one of the things that we can do for Karen, having no children to say Kaddish or to learn for her, but I have my Yotzat candle here. Karen was the Yotzat was actually on Shabbos, and I wanted to light another one again because we were doing the shir, and one can do these things for people that we are close to. So I just wanted to, here we go. I've got a couple of things that I'm just going to quickly share. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's keeping well and managing in these difficult times. I know we would have all appreciated talking to our dear Karen during these times, and I'm sure she would have provided us with sound advice and comfort. And Karen cannot make this share, but Karen lived with Karen for a number of months after her surgery. And Karen was very, very, they were good friends, and she was wonderful to her, even though they had a lot of differences in their Jewish lifestyles. but Karen was very special and loved Karen very, very, very much. I'm just quickly looking for Lily's, and then we're going to, here we go. So Lily, I hope you're okay. I just wanted to just share this. And when Karen passed away, Lily was just unable to see her before she was nifta. For some reason, she was afraid that she would not be able to recall her face. We forget little details just as one doesn't see friends for a while. It's never the same when you meet them in the flesh. And we are all knowing that really now. When Karen, however, her features remain so alive in my mind's eye, I see her face so clearly, one of the most courageous people one has ever met. Her emunah was shining through. During difficult times, we felt her pain in different ways, but somehow she was able to overcome, and whichever challenge she was presented with, Hashem had a solution for it, always. It is almost as if her challenges were paired with the answers. The most vivid when just before Shavuot, when she said she could not be alone for the 3 days. Somehow there was a room for her to be with her at Sage, with her dear mother. Now she is no longer here with us. The image of her face often pops up in front of Lily, and we see the well-dressed, groomed, beautiful Karen going about her daily tasks with words of gratitude, never tears and never complaints. And the lighting of the candle, really, Lily, is beautiful because it's so important for us to remind ourselves that it's the neshama that's there. And she would be so happy and so proud. And I can tell you that Karen is dancing upstairs now, knowing that she is able to get all of us together on this beautiful Zoom to be able to learn together, to increase all of our Torah learning, our connection with Hashem, and knowing, that it perpetuates. And she's there. And we do say that in Hashem, in her zechus, that we should all just have amazing, good things, because it's something very, very beautiful and very, very special for each one of us to know that she should be what we call a melitz yasha, someone who is there to intervene on our behalf and say, come on Hashem, just enough. Let's just bring and have the world that we really all so desperately, desperately need. And I think that there's so many little things that happen in one's life that we sort of, now we do have a little bit more time on our hands to actually be thinking about what we need to be doing and should be. At some time I think actually really, what's time? Okay, but you know what? We find it and we make it. And even in the tiny little things that we can do, we can understand that really what Hashem is just saying to us, just do his will. Is it so difficult? And you know what? The answer is yes, it is difficult, because we live in a world that doesn't really get it. And that's why the world of Hasidus and Breslov is saying, and that's what Karen was so drawn to, was the love that emanated from the learnings, that there was always, Hashem just loves us. He really, really, really loves us. And she so believed it. And, when we understand that, and actually when I decided that this was one of the days of the day of wisdom from Rabbi Twersky, that I thought was such a beautiful thing to actually be able to share. And he brings down a couple of ideas on the day, but I just thought that when I read this, it was like, wow, Hashem, you really know what you're doing. Because every little thing that we do, we can all connect. And I think that one of the things that happens is that when we find in our world, we have to find that connection. Hashem's there. He's there all the time. Last night, and I don't know if any of you managed to watch Dr. Rabbi Goldberg last night on the Seed interview, but if you didn't, just watch it, because it's good for all of us. And everything has a different voice that speaks to everybody in a different way that we take Hashem in. But we can learn something from everyone. And last night, his thing is that they teach a very, very simple thing for young kids who are suffering from cancer. He lost a child, a very young baby, to cancer. And he said he saw through her that we can win at least at one level. And they teach the kids a 3-word thing: power, peace, and purpose. And you see these kids learning Krav Maga and learning how to be in control of our thoughts and our feelings. And he watched kids struggle, and he changed the whole thing around. So he runs all over the world teaching, and in black countries. And he said he was in Baragwanath, which is not too far from where I grew up. And Baragwanath is a black hospital that everybody will tell you, if you really want to learn how to do surgery on the outside, with whatever you have available to you, that's the place that people go to learn whatever they need to. But sadly, within the child population of children who already come to our hospital already 3rd, 4th stage of cancer, the mortality rate is a ridiculous thing of 90%. Whereas in other places, it's a 10%. And he says, but the things that we teach and how we can learn and teach is teaching the skill. And we've been doing this. And I was like sitting there thinking, you know what, we all have these things. They're at our fingertips, you know, from our first day of emotional well-being, learning about what we eat, what we drink, how we put it in, the breathing, the calm, all the things, the keeping grounded. And he taught a very simple thing, because it's children-like and it's got to come through a child. So he says, just breathe in, and you rub your hands, and you take and you breathe the light in, and then we push away the darkness. And I think that Karen was a person who actually did this without actually knowing it as a skill to learn. I'm just closing the door because there's too much noise from the building outside. Such a beautiful day and morning today, after 2 days of not such beautiful days and morning, to actually appreciate it a little bit more. So today, Rabbi Troitsky brings down an idea from Mishle, and he says there are practices that, even though they're legal, might not be ethical. Some business people may speculate and withhold merchandise from the marketplace in the expectation that prices will go up and their profit will greater. I don't know if this speaks to anybody when it comes to antibacterials. Okay. Unfortunately, one of the things that's also happened is that people have bought so many masks, and they sold out the first lot, they bought double the second time, and now whatever. But I think we're going to all be legally having to wear masks soon. So let's hope that they keep their prices at what they should be. So really what it means is that they may earn more money this way, but they're certainly not going to earn the love and respect of the people that they deprived, or that they chose to charge more. So the Talmud tells us that to choose a way of life that will earn us respect of others, and we learn this in Pirkei Avot, that this does not mean that we should pursue a claim. It means that this is vanity on the person's behalf. We have to learn how to behave with the decency and learn to receive the respect from other people. It's not just about making money. So Rabbi Troitsky continues, and he says there's a risk in speculation. If one withholds merchandise and the price goes down, then what do? Then it's a twofold loss. They've lost not only their money, but they've also lost the respect of other people. So he brings down that a merchant came to a holy man with a tale of woe. The prediction had been for a very lean harvest. So he started to store his grain, and anticipating a sharp rise in price. Unfortunately, there was lots of rain and an absolute bumper crop. So now he was stuck with all the grain that he had stored. The tzaddik said to the man, "Never fear. The God that looks after the poor in a year of drought will also look after the wealthy in a year of abundance." And what we have to see and know, and this was another thing that Karen really taught us, whether one deals in whatever one deals with, when whatever it is that Hashem thinks that we think that is being withheld from people, what we have to understand and know is that the needs does not earn the blessings of people, but a wise person will seek not only the blessing from the financial place, but will certainly seek the blessing to have good friends and the respect from people. And that is something that everybody and that knew Karen will know, that there was one thing that she didn't demand, but you just respected her for who she was, for what she did, and how she did it. She was a lady through and through. She was just a lady, and you looked at her, and she was calm, and she was a lady. That is who she is. Rabbi Twersky brings down another idea, and he says a sincere heart is dear to Hashem. And this personifies totally Karen. And he says that the Sefer Hasidim, the book of the pious, relates a beautiful story. Okay, a story. So we'll just double on that one. An unlearned Jew had just heard about the mitzvah of bringing offerings to the Beis HaMikdash, to the temple. He reasoned that in the absence of having a Beis HaMikdash here now today, what would he do? He would look, the holiest place that he could imagine was the Aron Kodesh in Shul. So he decided he is going to take a challah, and he is going to put his challah in the Aron, and this would be his dedication to Hashem as though it were in the Beis HaMikdash. What a beautiful thing. And he would put his challah. He therefore would really bring the challah and put it in the ark of his offering to Hashem. When the shamas was cleaning the shul, he discovered the challah, and he thoroughly enjoyed it. The donor, seeing that the challah was missing, thought, wow, Hashem accepted my sacrifice, and therefore weekly brought this challah and put it into the ark. And weekly, the shamas was taking the challah and eating it and enjoying it. One day, the rabbi sees this happening. And he says to the man, what are you doing? And the man says to him, Rabbi, I bring this weekly, and I see that Hashem loves the thing that I'm doing, and he takes it. And the rabbi, in his horrible, sad, not having thought through what he was doing, he says, you stupid person, you foolish man. Those challahs were not taken by God. Those challahs were taken by the shamas. The man left the shul brokenhearted. That night, the rabbi's father came to him in a dream. He said, what have you done? Not since the destruction of the temple has Hashem been so pleased with that person's offering. Tell that man that what he did was in fact accepted by Hashem. And the shamas may have eaten them, but Hashem appreciated them more than anything. And, you know, it's, we often, if we thought about every time that we did anything that we're doing in a positive commandment, and we really believed it, you know, we do our chesed, we give out our cupcakes, we give out food, we share things with people, we give tzedakah, we get up and we, you know, we hopefully we say our tefillahs, we say our prayers. If we had that same emunah peshuta, that simple emunah, that simple belief in Hashem, that is exactly where it's going to. It's huge. And the difference that we do something, because we're doing. But when we're doing, if we feel like that simple person who really believed, imagine if every single thing that we did, we knew. As you did it, Hashem took it. As you said something we shouldn't have, Hashem said, out the window. Okay? All the tiny little things, the tiniest little things that are so important. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nivra b'dvaro. When we do something even for someone, when we take water and we change it from being water and we connect it to its source, when we make a bracha on something, we're not just saying, thank you, Hashem, for the water. That's a simple part. Thank you, Hashem. That's acknowledging. That's acknowledging. But what happens when we actually make a bracha on something, we are returning it to the source of where it comes from, and that's the source of Hashem. In all Hashem's giving and kindness and wisdom, that's the source of Hashem of everything that He gives us. And we connect that. And it's a beautiful thing, because how much nasa is it that we can do? We say, Hashem, you're here. This is the connection. And that emunah, that it was going to all be good and right, and what she was doing was correct. Karen did nothing without asking her das Torah and her halacha. And she called Rabbi Tatz to check that everything as she was going, she was doing the right thing. And I can tell you, because I stood next to her as she departed from this world. And the calm, I said, you know what? There are funny things that happen, but the truth is, on the one side, she had a cousin and his girlfriend, and Rabbi Tatz stood on the one side and I was there on the other side. And for me, having Rabbi Tatz there, just to know all the halachas and how you had to do everything in the right way, I thought, Hashem, how did you send Rabbi Tatz here to be here now at this time? Because Karen wanted everything done according to halacha. And so Hashem made it that Rabbi Tatz could be there at that time. Rabbi Dr. Tatz, so he could speak to the doctors and the nurses as a medical professional, not only as a rabbinic. When Hashem knows, and when a person lives so much with that, he sends all the right people at the right time. And that was what it was. And when you leave the world knowing that you've done everything you possibly could have done, physically, spiritually, and even though she wasn't zocheh to be married and have children, her teachings continue. And I believe that that is one of the reasons that even the words that she wrote and she sent to be published are there so that she would always have something. And it's such a beautiful thing. And we've got to know that Hashem looks after. We've even seen how many times, and certainly over the last few months, there's been a number of stories of people who have maybe nearly had the wrong funeral, right? But really it's turned out that that was the cover that Hashem wanted to send to that person before they left the world. And they had a full minyan of family crying over the person, whoever it was. And then, sorry guys, but actually you've got to go to the next room. You'd think that Hashem orchestrates everything. Every little thing that happens. And she knew that in her mind, and more importantly, deep, deep down in her heart, she was no fool, I can tell you. She was a very, very clever young lady, very bright. But her emunah was as straightforward and as simple as putting that challah into the aron. That was where she put her heart, her learning, and her Torah. And so that is really what I wanted to, one of the things that I wanted to share. And I'm going to carry on just as we just learn some more from Karen in bringing our world really into us. We're living in this beautiful month of Sivan. Sivan is the month, again, Sivan's the month of just having received the Torah. It's no coincidence when we stand at Har Sinai for a place where somebody also, where person leaves this world, is orchestrated by Hashem. It's orchestrated by Hashem. He knows everything that's going on and he plans it. The time of year, the time of day, the week. The week, we know, every day has a different energy. And therefore Hashem also has this thing where he makes sure to give all those things to us. So Rabbi Toysky brings down a beautiful idea. He says that you shall observe my decrees and my laws, which man shall carry out and with which he should live. Again, that is totally how Karen lived. And it didn't matter how difficult it was, the long summers. Can you imagine the long, long summers? On a, don't remember, what was it, 4th floor flat in the middle of central town. There weren't people around, but she was there because she was looking after and stayed there to look after her parents. So the Hasidic masters, Rabbi Toysky brings down, translated the latter part of this verse to read, and into which he should give life, okay? And man should make mitzvahs bustle with life. Every positive commandment that we have should not be this yoke on our shoulders. Oh my gosh, another one to keep. It should change that whole thing that Hashem has given us. I mean, how grateful can we be? I don't know if anybody opened up the clip today that I sent on the Tuesday group, if everybody's actually on it. Sorry, I've had the water now, I'm allowed my coffee. So, before it's too cold. This beautiful clip in Los Angeles, in the middle of these riots, where the police are looked after by the Jewish community. We don't just stand, we give, we take food, we offer drinks, we do things, you talk to them. Chabad House opened up their whole, he says what did he call it? The temple, right? The temple. They let us come and use their facilities. I mean, why wouldn't we? Okay? And the guy standing and saying, yeah, we just want to appreciate you. But this is major stuff. This is called Kiddush Hashem, right? That's what we want to be connected to. We don't want to be connected to negativity. You know why we do this? Because Hashem commanded us to. And if we can't teach the lesson that Hashem commanded us to do all the things that we need to do positively, then we've also missed it. I want to be honest, many, gosh, 20, our daughter Batsheva just turned 30 today. So now all our daughters, Baruch Hashem, Leah and Hara, are in their 30s, which makes me feel very, very young, having been about 12 when I have now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I actually I asked one of my friends this morning, how is it that our children are getting older and we're getting younger? I don't know how that works, but you know what? Something happens and something works, you know? And so we now just totally lost thought. Okay, so what it is everything that we do, okay, we have to do with excitement. Hashem has given us an entirety of the world, to bring and say, this is how you keep the Torah and mitzvahs. When we keep Torah, we understand that it's man has to make the mitzvahs bustle with life. It doesn't help if we've got a whole Sefer Torah with all the mitzvahs and there's nobody to keep them, okay? So we need to keep our mitzvahs with enthusiasm and excitement, okay? Rather than we just doing them. Let's wake up and look, what does it mean? You know, when we look at our hands, and one of the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, which I know that Karen would appreciate, when we wash our hands, look at your hands. And we've said this before, look at my fingers, my tiny little finger, and with these hands I want to do good. With these hands, I want to do good. So when we wake up and we say, Modeh Ani, it's thank you. We all appreciate it. We just appreciate it much more when somebody else's life has not woken up this morning. But imagine the gift. We breathe. Think about that story, $5,000 for 3 days of oxygen. We can breathe. And this is what it means to infuse ourselves with keeping Torah and mitzvahs. Both the Hasidic, okay, and the Mussar writings, which means from the Hasidim and the not Hasidim, okay, emphasize the importance of keeping and doing mitzvahs happily, right? Oh my gosh, do you know how long Shabbos is? I mean, what time did Shabbos come out in Manchester? And I don't know if St. Anne's is after Manchester.
10:49.
So, how long?
10:49.
10:49. Okay, so yeah, we got up to I think 10:39, and then that's okay. But when I lived in Leeds, the latest Shabbos came out was 11:15. Like, are you joking? But then I spoke to my friend who lived in Glasgow, and Shabbos came out at midnight, and we spent a Shabbos there once when it came. Like, forget it. You go to bed on Shabbos. You've just got to wake up in the morning and remember that it was still Shabbos. Okay. Now, I feel as though Shabbos has been taken away from me when Shabbos finishes at 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't like that. So when we can appreciate every single minute of the Shabbos that Hashem gives us, no, it should be with pain that we say, when is Shabbos leaving us? That feeling of making Havdalah should be, we know what we need, but we want Shabbos because it's the biggest gift. And it's not always, because it's difficult when we're alone. It's difficult when we're keeping Shabbos alone. Even, can you imagine? So we look at this and we say, but if we were to keep Hashem's mitzvahs happily, all we need to do, says Rabbi Twersky, is truly be happy that something is here for us and that we've got something to be enthusiastic about. Rabbi Twersky says that most infants are enthusiastic. The world is so new to them that they explore it with real curiosity. They're enthusiastic about exploring that they resist even going to bed. Right? I don't think we think about that when we're trying to get our children to sleep. Right? Oh, my little gorgeous child, you're so enthusiastic about being awake and alive and learning more things. Oh my goodness, I really should enjoy that part. Really? Get to sleep. You can be enthusiastic when you grow up, okay? No, we lose that. But when we do lose some of our enthusiasm and life becomes a drag, and we want to go to bed to escape the challenges that are coming in life. When people lack the enthusiasm in life, says Rabbi Twersky, they seek something called a thrill. It's not real. Something that they find or think that money and fame is going to change for them. Because when you looked at Hollywood, that's what it looked like. It was all fun, all exciting. Lots of money, lots of this, everybody doing things for you, clothes, shoes, jewelry. But when they went to sleep at night, they couldn't do cheshbon hanefesh and look at their neshamas and say, what did I achieve today? Even famous rich people are happier when they're giving and doing an act of kindness and chesed in whatever way they're doing it. There was once a dinner that was made for the rich and famous, hence I wasn't invited. I remember seeing the story, and they were taking very wealthy, well-known people, and they put them into a dinner room, and they had 2 dinners. When you got there, you never knew where you were going. Okay, when you got to the dinner, you were either sent to the left or the right. And in the one banquet hall was this fabulous dinner with everything set up magnificently and the best of the best and the finest of the wines and everything that you could imagine. And the other adjoining hall had benches, low, unset tables, and each person got a bowl of rice. Now imagine that you're paying $1,000 to go to an event like that, probably more. But when they did the appeal, and they asked people, imagine when you're eating like this and got to feed people in whatever country it was that they were fundraising for. Guess who gave more money? The fancy, magnificent hall or the bowl of rice? The bowl of rice. Because you had an empathy. And you know who felt better about the giving? The people that sat with the bowl of rice. And it was an incredible thing. But they said that it wasn't just, it was significantly different. And people have had what they think or knew of the same thing. So Rabbi Twersky says, he says, other people find thrills in identifying with different things of different performances, daredevil things, and also things that become negative for a person in, unfortunately, in drug and alcohol abuse. He says Torah has to be observed so that mitzvahs that we do come to life, that we live it and we understand it and we look inside and we, what is this? And when we imagine that we make a blessing on something, understand what it is and why we're saying that. When we say words, focus rather on less davening and understand what we're saying than how many times have we said benching, Birkat Hamazon, and after each thing say, thank you Hashem for that awesome, amazing thing. These are the blessings that I'm given. I'm saying words and I'm like, and finished. I'm finished benching. And we say every word and we look at the words and we realize that God's actually saying to you, thank him for this and coming out of Egypt and feeding you and dressing you and giving you your food and giving you parnasa and. And we just take those words and we say them, that's enthusiasm. Because that's, thank you Hashem, really. It's from the place that is a good place for it to come from. He says, knowing that one is carrying out the divine will and achieving a relationship should actually be exciting. But it's difficult because it's not tangible. But when it's real and we can sit out in our gardens or sit inside in our chairs and close our eyes and talk to God, that's when it's real. When we can sit there and not feel alone. Rabbi Chanonch told me once on one of the classes, she had one of her children, she sent to their room and told them to go and sit there alone. And he kept calling her. And then he said, Ima, I'm not alone. I don't know where to go because I can't be alone. So she said, what do you mean? She said, well, you've always told us that wherever we go, Hashem is with us. So how can I go and be alone? I don't know how to do that. So we're never alone. We might be alone in the person that we are. And we might be lonely in that person. But the reality is, when we look around and you can feel it, and if you can't feel it, then feel the aura that's there and make sure that you know there's something there. There's nothingness. It's not nothingness. It's something that we can bring and actually even feel. So that should be exciting. No wonder he says that Tzaddikim needed little sleep. Life for them was like life of an infant, full of enthusiasm, because every extra word of Torah that they learned was exciting. And they don't want to go to sleep because they don't want to miss out on learning more. You think that you've exhausted it. I mean, you know, we've got tzaddikim that they keep going around. How many times can you learn the entire Shas, the entire Gemara? How many times can you learn the entire Talmud? And you can learn it and learn it and learn it and learn it because there's always going to be something new. You know why? Because those people are always new on their next place. And it's really lovely. One of my friend's husbands, since the Siyum, he took his boys to the Siyum Hashas, and one of them sort of looked at him as if to say, well, you know, Dad, why don't you do this? And he was kind of like, why not? Because today we can access it on your phone. There's an app that helps you to learn the page of Gemara, and whatever level you're learning it at. And he said to me, it was very funny, a couple of weeks ago, he's the person that feeds me all the information about the stars and the moon and the planets and everything. And I missed the launch because they changed it from a Wednesday night to a Friday night. It really was not fair. I mean, you know, I was on Shabbos and nobody told me to look outside on Shabbos. So we missed seeing the space rocket go over Golders Green. But he fills me in with all the things. Anyway, the next week he wanted to live. He says, you obviously know, like he's talking to me like I do stuff, you obviously know that in the Gemara today that we learned now is about teaching people about the stars. So I want to thank you, for helping me that I can keep the mitzvah of teaching people about the planets and the stars. And I was like, I really don't learn Gemara, but the good thing is that when we get to that place of acknowledging every little thing in the world that we have is there. So every time, every new life and every new day and everything we've got, we see things differently as we hopefully come through and move through a world of wisdom. And that is why in Rabbi Twersky's wisdom, he's teaching us, okay? He's teaching us that enthusiasm helps us enjoy mitzvahs more than when we're not enthusiastic about it. And that's with everything. One can be enthusiastic about life in the absence of luxury. And one can be bored to death while swimming in luxuries. The key to simchas hachayim, to real internal happiness, is being enthusiastic about things, not having them. And it's actually interesting, but even when you buy something new, it's only new the first time, and you can save up for something many times, but really what it is that we can save, and then suddenly you get something and it's lovely, it's nice, and you look at it, and every time you say, oh, that's pretty, that's nice, and then like a short while after, it's okay. And that's why everything today is made so cheaply, because they've learned that the more you tell people that they need something new, the more they're actually going to buy. But we don't really need it. We've been taught that we need it. We've been taught that this is what you need. You don't think really you need it. Days gone by, and I was thinking about this when I was sitting out in my garden, on my looking at my beautiful green plastic grass. And it was something I'm like looking at and thinking, I'm just so appreciative of it every single day, because I was thinking that if I would have had to go through this entire time in our outside, not garden, as people would say, it wasn't a garden, right? It was an outside patio with uplifting things and whatever. And I think that it would have been a lot more challenging. But when we have pretty space and we create that space and we make it, it does make us feel better about something, right? But then sometimes we're in a place where we have to just look at wherever it is that we are, you make that, and we have to change it. And when we were coming to England, a lot of people would tell you about this wonderful weather that England is blessed with. And when you were going to live up north in Leeds, I have to tell you, the first week that we were there, but second, I don't know, third week, I don't know, the guy was changing the carpets. And he gave me the entire year of doom of the weather that I just come to. And I was thinking, is there any decent weather in this year, in Leeds? And he kind of said, well, he says, you get used to everything. He says, and often in May you get some nice, and I'm like thinking to myself, really, like we've just arrived here. Thank you. Anyway, he probably was quite realistic. Come to the middle of July, the end of July, I wanted to make my daughters a birthday party and get a jumping castle, because I found a very cheap jumping castle. And there weren't that many kids in their school or friends or whatever. So I thought, you know what, we'll get a jumping castle and let everybody use it during the day. Well, you should know that it rained for 3 days before the birthday. And the man said to me, he says, I can't even bring it to you. They're just too wet. Anyway, finally, a couple of weeks later, we got it. And what I actually did was they had their birthday party time with them and their friends. And then I told every class, like of the families and the parents, which wasn't really that many, okay, to bring their kids at different times so everybody could use it throughout the day. But it took a long time until we got this silly jumping castle because the weather was so amazing. But when I used to think about it, and you could sit there with dull gray skies for a number of days, and people just say, oh, doesn't the dull? I said, sometimes it does. But really, if you get that bad, you just have to paint the sun in the middle of that, and that corner, you know, just to know that it's there and behind it. And only on the days when we feel that we can look beyond the clouds and look beyond the gray and look beyond those things, we can access it. Not easily, but we can access it. Okay, and this is what he says: our things and our life and simcha is not about, yes, it's nice to be loved and cared for. It's nice to have treats. I have to tell you, my daughter is just, for anybody that got their little pack from the retreat, that was made by my daughter. So she's got back this new little logo, and it's really cute. On from Munch and Crunch just sent her cupcakes in with the logo. Everybody's doing her little logo thing. And I'm thinking, oh, actually, because I think as mothers, our children should give us presents. Anyway, you know what, you want to do things, and it just makes you feel it's nice, right? They're just the niceties and things. But if it's not, then go do it for yourself. If you feel that there's something, you know, I went, I like to also buy books. So, you know, it's a nice thing. So actually yesterday I replaced my, I've lost somewhere, my Rabbi Tversky's Visions of the Father, the Pirkei Avot. And so Mikey, Torah Treasures was having like the sale out, and he's saying, and I was so excited because I looked at, I thought like, how much? Anyway, I didn't have time, which was probably a good thing. But I actually had a book voucher, which I was very, I don't even know when it's from. But I took my book, and then I saw these books, which I knew that I wanted to get for, that somebody wanted. So I quickly picked it up, and then I saw another one that somebody wanted. So I quickly picked that one up, and then there were two. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm walking away from here. So he did it, and there was, and he comes to, he goes, he says, wow. Anyway, my voucher was for £40, and the amount on the books that I picked up were £40 and 30 pence. So he tore it up. He says, there we go, we're square. And I thought, you know what? But the others were really for other people that I was like, I thought, Hashem, you know what? These are things that you just do for us. Just thank you. You know, and it's every place that we want to be able to do something good for somebody. You feel better about doing something for somebody else. So imagine that we're keeping that mitzvah and we're doing it for Hashem. Just simple, right? The same way I'm doing it and giving, and it doesn't have to be with a physicality. You don't have to take the challah and put it in the aron. You take your positive mitzvah that you're doing and you say, thank you, Hashem, for allowing me to do this. And I'm going back to my cupcakes because there's so many of them, right? But if you just imagine each little thing and you separate it, not in a bunch of stuff that goes somewhere, it's like every little thing, and all of you, you know, think about Karen and her glasses. Every little thing that you do, it's not about the glasses of finishing that act when you give the person the glasses. Your mitzvah goes with it when those glasses are worn by the person. You know, even your cheesecake, unfortunately, stays with everybody, Deborah, a little bit longer than maybe they want, maybe on the hips, you know. But it's it's those things that if we imagine that every single thing that we do, it has its tiny speck that it goes to, and it's there. So every time it's used or seen or appreciated or thought about, you're reenacting that positive mitzvah that you've done. Wow. You know, we put money to something, buying books. Every single time a person reads or learns or enacts that thing which they learned is huge. Right? How can you not be excited about it? How can we not? Went to my friend's garden. They're growing. I had her lettuce in my salad last week that she picked from her garden. Right? It's amazing. When we do things and you look and you say, Hashem, look what you've done. Whoa. Okay? And even more so when we look around Eretz Israel. The good news I heard in Israel, Ilana, if you want to make a simcha, it's gone up to 250 people. I mean, nobody understands the logic, but hey, we can't get there, but they can now have 250 people, even though the virus has spiked and they're closing some of the schools. So there has to be some scientific madness or medical madness, but who knows? But apparently we're now going to start being fined if you're not wearing masks. I don't know if it's only on public transport or wherever, but we have to. So let's think about this, and we're going to finish off on this idea from Rav Yisrael of Salant, who was one of our greatest Musa teachers. Now, Musa meaning working on ourselves, okay? And he remarked that while it is vital to attract people to Torah observance, it is equally important to care for their physical needs. Okay, so he says, why is this? That you often see someone standing outside a shul saying, davening, davening, we want to pray, come on, come in, we need you for a minyan. Inviting people in to pray. You never see people standing outside and calling, eating, come in and join in the meal. So Rabbi Yisrael had no use of honor and acclaim. However, he was one of the most diligent people with giving respect and honor to other people. And they, he always said, were more important. Rabbi Yisrael Salant looked after every person's needs. When he lived in Memel, which was on the border of Germany and Lithuania, he made sure that the furnace, the oven that kept the shul warm, was always stoked early in the morning. He didn't send the shamus and say, you warm it up. He was the Rav of the shul. He went to warm it up so that when wagon drivers and people would come in and cross the border during the night, they had a warm shul to come into. And they could come in and warm themselves from the cold. If Rav Salant saw that there was a shutter of somebody's window hanging loosely, he went himself to fix it in case it would bang in the wind and disturb somebody else's sleep. Rav Yisrael said, love your neighbor as yourself is the essence of the Torah. He didn't only say it, but he lived it. He didn't live it by saying, do as I say, and this is how you can do. He just did it. And everybody knew that, and that was his greatness, and he never wanted to be given any honor for anything he did. So I can say full-heartedly that Karen was a person who never looked for honor. Karen did many, many, many things in Western Marble Arts, sure. Karen did many, 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 many things for the JLE from when it started in Little Venice to moving from town to Golders Green. And she was there for many years. She never walked around telling everybody, I'm Rabbi Katz's PA. But she was. She didn't tell everybody all the things that she accomplished or who she was writing under. She never told anybody, you know how many articles I've written? People just found out because she shared some thoughts. And one thing is for sure, that the thing that was closest was her tefillah, her prayer. And I was really, I have to say that I was very, 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 very humbled when I did take her siddur and her tehillim and offer to people and the notes that she wrote inside. Because it was nothing about her pain. It was just about how to get closer to Hashem, how to do more for Him, how to look after and help other people, and how to do what we call real cheshbon nefesh, and the honesty that came with the things when she felt, Hashem, how do I work on me, feeling like, I want to be as close to you as possible. And And she wrote it all down. She wrote it down. It was there in her handwriting, in her beautiful handwriting, and the lists of the people that she'd done them for. So in her merit of Rivka Bas Chanonch, obviously she should have an Aliyah Neshamas, and I have absolutely no question that she is sitting very, very close to Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah, and all our Nashim Tzadkaniot, all the holy women that are waiting until Mashiach comes to be able for us all to be able to meet them. And that we see that there's so much that we can do, but don't lose the enthusiasm. Be positive, think positively, create that space, choose one mitzvah, okay? Choose one thing that you want to do, and even if you're by yourself, do it happily, with enthusiasm. Maybe search something online, pick up a book, find something even about Shabbos, you know? I have to say that I have tried. Samantha's still here with us. I saw her come online. But yeah, there she is. I have been trying all the time to have my Shabbos tablecloth on Thursday night. And I have to admit that it comes to 3/4 down my table. So at least the Shabbos tablecloth is until where I'm sitting with my computer. And I move it down a little bit. Right? But put my candles out, my Shabbos table on, and you know what? It does. It makes you feel. Not that we have to notice how quickly it comes. Last week, it just seemed to come. I don't know. I thought like it was Friday. I was like, really? Today it's Friday? How? Okay. But it is already Tuesday. So imagine how we can just be excited about something. Think about one thing. Even think about something that you want to make for Shabbos. And it doesn't have to be fancy, but think about something that you want to do, prepare, do it. When you want to give your tzedakah, stand there and say, Hashem, I'm giving my little bit of tzedakah that I'm giving now. Okay? And these are the things that we want to do. So I am going to say that if anybody wants to give anything in the Schus of Karen, you can go online and do that through Seed. And I also have to tell you that we're going to be starting on Thursday night. We have Rebbitzin Slavi Wolf Young Rice at 8:30. That's I should actually make it clearer on the post so that even if you weren't at the retreat, because we call it follow up from the retreat, so it's easier, but it also is going to be in the chus of Rachel Bas. Okay, I can't remember. Sure, now Anit's going to tell me what it is. But that's Thursday night. And yeah, we're just all looking forward to be able to do things, you know, excitedly, happily. And even if you choose 5 minutes of your day, that I want to do that, and you pick up your Shmiras HaLashon and say, okay, 5 minutes, I'm going to learn this happily, okay? Whatever it's going to be, even for those 5 minutes, you will actually feel, right? We'll feel in that moment that it was really something that you feel much more positive about just because of the way we think about it. So if anybody would like to add anything, the time is really now. No? Anybody want to say anything?
Thank you very much for a wonderful share, as usual.
Pleasure.
Much appreciated.
My
Thank you. Thank you very much, Joanne.
It's lovely to see all our extras who joined us today in Karen's Chus. And anytime that you'd like to join us, this is the link on Zoom. And we're here on Tuesday mornings between 10 and 11.
Thanks, Joe.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day, or as we always say, make a great day.
Joanne, which book did you read? Which chapter did you read?
The
Please.
Wisdom Each Day.
And which chapter?
And this was on the, I think it was the 15th of Sivan and the 13th of Sivan and the 15th of Sivan.
I'd like to share something.
Yes.
I come across a book recommended in a share, written by Michelle Hurwitz. She was the speechwriter for Michelle Obama. And she talks about her Judaism that at the age of 36, one day when she felt there was a gap in her life, she went to a share, and basically she has read many, many, many Jewish books, and I'm in the middle of reading her book where she speaks about Torah, all the lessons and many other things. And it's a really good read. Michelle Hurwitz.
Right, thank you. Michelle Hurwitz, thank you.
And it's called something like It Was Here All Along.
Oh, yes. that is the truth. It's been here for us all along. And that is the wonderful thing, is that when you meet often Israelis or people that are, you know, they feel that connection. And I'm reading Esther Young-Rice's book at the moment. So you get some of the people, they say, oh my gosh, you know there's something missing. Well, if anybody's read The Bamboo Cradle, but we all know, you know, there's that little thing inside our little neshamas, and there's that little light that's lit in, that Hashem puts there. It's called the nitzutz, the little spark of the pintalayit, the little spark of every single Jew. And every single Jew needs connection to this. I must just also add, Claudia, I'm actually meant to get your father's name out, and I didn't. Claudia, are you still there with us? Because we should add that a lot of our learning, and Claudia has the shloshim of her father this Thursday, and Emetz Hashem, and his neshama should have an aliyah. All that you learn should really be in his zechus and in his merit.
Amen.
Yeah.
So, you know, that there's, our Torah is here for us. It's been here all the time.
I'm not sure. Shanat down. I'm 49 years old.
Right? And there's something missing, but really, it's, you know, it's just because our neshama needs to keep Torah and mitzvahs. That's the reality. It's what every soul needs. So when we find it, it's like finding something like we lost. Right? And that's the whole thing about Reb Nachman, the lost princess, is that we want to access all the beautiful Torah that exists that we just think we've lost. But actually there's lots of love and giving and caring and everything. And that's where the Torah comes in. There's lots and lots and lots of love to share. And the Torah is about love and care and giving. And if we see it that way, rather than, oh my gosh, this is heavy stuff, you know, it just changes it. And that's why also what's so beautiful is that the Torah allows us to see, like, from where we're comfortable and how we're comfortable with it.